Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of Colonel Rob Parker, the commander of the 5th Signal Command, welcome to today's inactivation ceremony. The presiding officer for today's ceremony is Major General John W. Baker, Commanding General of the Network Enterprise Technology Command, Fort Huachuca, Arizona. The 5th Signal Command Commander of Troops is Colonel Paul B. Zepperneck, Jr. The Commanding Sergeant Major is 2nd Signal Brigade Commanding Sergeant Major Gregory D. Rowland. Our distinguished guests today include Lieutenant General Hodges, Major General McGuire, Major General Kilgo, Mr. Wang, Major General Retired Sutton, Brigadier General Ross-Schneider, Brigadier General Pugh, Colonel Eubank, Colonel Fish, Colonel Haggard, Colonel Jones, Colonel McLeland, Colonel Rolf Hoffman, Colonel Gerd Weiss, Colonel Norbert Schmidt, Colonel Helmut Schaffenberg, Command Master Chief Petty Officer Harris, Command Sergeant Major Curry, Command Sergeant Major Pinkston, Sergeant Major Cherry, Sergeant Major Purnell, Dr. Oliver Franz, Mr. James Herman, Dr. Ulrich Schade, Mr. Gunnar Mildberg, Mr. Robert Schaefer, Mr. Stefan Müller, Mr. Hans Joachim Kosenbeck, and Dr. Adrian Freiherr v. Dornberg. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the arrival of the official party, the rendering of honors, the invocation by Chaplain Herbert Lemke, and the singing of the national anthems of the Federal Republic of Germany and the United States of America by Staff Sergeant Ashley Sangret.
Let us pray. Father, we come before you with a true sense of pride, gratitude, and humility this morning. We thank you for the care and protection that you have shown 5th Signal Command throughout its long, rich history. We thank you for the many missions accomplished, for the heroism displayed, and the devotion to duty each member has illustrated both in the past as well as in the present. Father, as the colors of this historic command are cased during this ceremony today, we place ourselves and what we are about to undertake into your hands. Simply put, may this ceremony bring honor to you, this formation, and the United States Army. We ask in your name, amen.
that so proudly we held at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Please be seated. Staff Sergeant Joseph Thomas, a member of 5th Signal Command, is presenting Mrs. Pamela Parker a bouquet of red roses. Red is the color of the heart and reflects the loving concern that Mrs. Parker has shown for our soldiers and their families. Her roses are in full bloom, symbolizing the beauty and fulfillment of her time with the Dragon Warriors. Sergeant Marcus Walters is presenting Colonel Parker's daughter Ashley a bouquet of orange roses and son Brandon with a small gift for their time with the Dragon Warriors. Headquarters, 5th Signal Command, traces its original heritage to the U.S. Army Signal Command Europe, organized under USARA General Order dated March 20, 1958, which consolidated communications in the European theater and marked the beginning of decades-long transformation of the Europe Signal Corps in Europe. By the end of 1965, all USARA communication duties transferred to the Army Communications Command Europe. During the summer of 1974, the unit was constituted in the regular army and activated as 5th Signal Command at Kilburn Kaserne in Zwettingen, Germany, relocating shortly thereafter to Taukunen Barracks in Worms, Germany. The collapse of communism and the disintegration of the Soviet Union introduced a new international dynamic and prompted an army-wide drawdown. The closure of Worms military community brought 5th Signal Command to Fornari Barracks in Mannheim, Germany in September 1996. Throughout the transformation of the 80s and the 90s, the command embraced the technological advancements and provided the Army in Europe with continuous communications and information technology support. The Global Rebasing and Restructuring Initiative, announced in 2004, sent 5th Signal from the home in Mannheim, Germany, to their present location at Clay Concern, Wiesbaden, Germany, in October 2009. In the 21st century, 5th Signal Command has continued to provide significant strategic and tactical capabilities in support of global war on terrorism, deploying the 7th Signal Brigade in February 2003 in support of Operation Iraqi Freedom, and leveraging 2nd Signal Brigade's regional bandwidth, switching capabilities, and satellite downlinks into strategic satellite, tactical, and commercial entry points. The command also deployed the 44th Signal Battalion as the first purely organic expeditionary signal battalion in Operation Iraqi Freedom. Between 2003 and 2009, elements of the 5th Signal Command were continuously deployed in support of Operation Enduring Freedom and Operation Iraqi Freedom. In 2015, elements of 5th Signal Command have continually supported combatant commands during the ongoing Operation Atlantic Resolve. 5th Signal Command has also transformed the Army's network throughout Europe, increasing bandwidth capabilities through the development of fiber optic network backbone. The command has also served as the U.S. Army with distinction in a broad range of other peacetime, stability, and contingency operations. 5th Signal Command will inactivate August 4, 2017 as a result of direct force structure cuts made throughout the Department of Defense announced in November of 2016. Permanent Orders 007-2, the following unit action is directed. Action Unit Inactivated, assigned to control Headquarters, Department of the Army, effective 4 August 2017. Authority, message, Headquarters DA. Subject, rebalancing of active and reserve component force structure. Date, 7 January 2016. Signed by Lieutenant Colonel Aaron Parker. Army Regulation 71-32 and Army Regulation 220-5. Ladies and gentlemen, the Network Enterprise Technology Command, Commanding General, Major General John Baker.
You're probably all wondering what these are about. I'll just let the anticipation build. Well, good morning, Lieutenant General Hodges, sir, and all of our distinguished German guests. It's good to be here in Germany with you today. We have many VIPs in attendance, and so I'm going to make my remarks a little bit shorter by just saying all protocols observed as opposed to reading out everyone's names. But thanks for joining me for this inactivation ceremony for the 5th Signal Command and the Dragon Warriors. So, guten Morgen und vielen Dank, dass Sie heute so zahlreich hier erschienen sind. Ja? We are all first-hand witnesses to a historic event as we pay homage to the end of an era for our global command and our Army. Before I start, I wanted to give special thanks to all the soldiers and civilians whose efforts make today's grand ceremony possible. Cool? Thank you, Chaplain Lemke, for your eloquent and thoughtful invocation. It was inspirational. I also want to give a special thanks to the U.S. Army Europe Brass Quintet. Your contributions make this ceremony truly memorable. Cool. Ich möchte mich bei unseren deutschen Freunden herzlich bedanken. In den letzten 4 Jahrzehnten waren Sie großartigen Partner unserer Dragon Warriors. Nochmals ein herzliches Dankeschön für Ihre Gastfreundschaft. And I forgot to say, phew. So finally, I want to thank all of you for your presence at today's ceremony. As I mentioned, your attendance here solidifies the importance of the men and women of the Dragon Warriors. Today marks another milestone in this command's history as we have flown the Dragon Warriors colors one last time since its birth 43 years ago and honor 21 past commanders of the 5th Signal Command and the more than 100,000 soldiers and Department of the Army civilians and German nationals who can proudly say they were members of the Dragon Warriors. In fact, we're honored to have 3 former commanders of the 5th Signal Command with us today. And I'd ask those gentlemen to stand. Major General retired Chuck Sutton. Major General Mitchell Kilgo. And now Colonel Rob Parker. Soldiers of the 5th Signal Command wore the dragon patch on their uniforms proudly, taking the symbol of worms with them wherever they went. And over the years, the unit's dragon patch became instantly recognized throughout the Army as symbolizing the very best in professional communications. If Network Enterprise Technology Command, my command, represents the varsity of our Army's communicators, then the 5th Signal Command represents our starting lineup. This inactivation is a part of the Army's efforts to transform our overseas theater signal mission command structure. However, our signal and cyber forces of our great Army that serve across the European and African theaters continue, and our commitment to mission success will never waver. The Dragon Warriors may be leaving, but the outstanding level of support provided will continue. And Lieutenant General Hodges, sir, wherever your flag goes, my guidon will already be planted. One, because I always want to stay ahead of you on your requirements, but two, because I think that's what NETCOM brings to your fight, is anticipation. And as you know, sir, at NETCOM, the difficult we do immediately, the impossible takes us a little bit longer. For this historic transition, for our command and our supported units in theater, we picked the best to lead the Dragon Warriors for the last time. Colonel Rob Parker was just the right person to headline this team of professionals through this period of transformation. He was able to keep his eye on the ball as the command took on some of our most challenging missions to date, from spearheading the European transition to Windows 10, to leading the way for improved relationships with our allies, to supporting an intense exercise period. Rob Parker was a driving force for mission success. Now, I can tell you in 2 words why Rob has been such a spectacular success as a commander and a soldier. Pam Parker. You see, none of the work we do is possible without the support of our families, and in the Parker's case, including Brandon and Ashley. Pam and Rob could not have achieved half of the impact had it not been for their family. And their impact on the Dragon Warriors was strong, and their support endearing, and their encouragement lifelong. So thank you to Rob and Pam and Brandon and Ashley, because our families are the real strength behind our Army. And coming on the heels of the Parkers to lead our NETCOM TAC in Europe is Colonel Brian Cassidy and his wife Mindy. So welcome to Germany, to the U.S. Army Europe and NETCOM, and I wish your wonderful family, Lillian, Nicholas, Erickson, and Anna Lee, all the best as you begin serving here. To fully understand the significance of today's ceremony, we have to go back to the beginning. The year was 1974. We were still involved in the Vietnam War. Richard Nixon had just resigned as the President of the United States. Hank Aaron of the Atlanta Braves broke Babe Ruth's home run record, hitting his 715th career home run. And I was actually living in West Berlin, here in a divided Germany, going to the 5th grade at Berlin Elementary School. But also in 1974, on July 1st, in fact, the Dragon Warriors came into being as the command was constituted in the regular army at Kielburg Kaserne in Schwitzingen. The command actually traces its original heritage to the U.S. Army Signal Command Europe, organized under U.S. Army Europe in 1958. The Signal Command had the unique mission of supporting an Army group in Central Europe and NATO. This was a time of great friction because Western Europe was still rebuilding after World War II and the tensions of the Cold War were increasing. And all the while, the Army Signal Command extended its responsibilities from Belgium through France and from Germany into Italy. In 1964, the Army Signal Command became Strategic Command Europe, and their role was to manage the Army's portion of military global communications. And of course, the old radio systems and the telephone terminal system were phased out, and the brand new automatic voice network, the brand new automatic digital network, and the brand new radio teletypewriter set and troposcatter radio relay network were fielded. That was big stuff back then. And today, that's about the same in combined computing power that I carry in my iPhone. In 1973, the Strategic Command Europe became the Army Communications Command Europe. 1 year later, the Army Communications Command Europe became the 5th Signal Command and the beloved Dragon Warriors that we know today. Our 5th Signal has made significant contributions to the infrastructure throughout Western Europe. The 70s saw the emergence of the wideband communication system, and the command and control console system. The 80s saw the installation of the digital European backbone. The collapse of communism, with the first of the dominoes starting to fall in the 80s, led to the disintegration of the Soviet Union in '91 and left the world without two superpowers, just one, just us, which prompted an Army-wide drawdown. This high operational tempo was obvious during Desert Shield and Desert Storm in 1990. The command deployed elements to the Persian Gulf, and in 1991, the command supported humanitarian relief and protection efforts for the Kurds during Operation Provide Comfort. Base closures and accompanied troop drawdown resulted in the closure of the Worms military community and brought to the command to Fenari Barracks in Mannheim in 1996. And technology was evolving at a rate we had not seen before, because the 90s was the decade the network got bigger and the world got smaller, thanks to email, cell phones, and the internet. And since September 11, 2001, Fifth Signal's role in communications became even more critical, with the command providing increased bandwidth across the European theater and installing a fiber optic network. It was in the early stages of our war on terror that the command's units deployed to Turkey in 2003 and later Iraq in support of Operation Iraqi Freedom. And the ability to establish satellite connectivity in support of Iraqi freedom leveraged the unit's bandwidth here in Germany. This reach back extended our global information grid. And from 2005 to 2006, the Dragon Warriors deployed a task force into Afghanistan in support of our operations there. In 2009, we had a rebasing and restructuring effort again, and that saw the 5th Signal Command move from Mannheim to where we stand today in Wiesbaden. And it was just a few years ago, in July 2014, that the Dragon Warriors once again led the way in protecting our networks throughout Europe and parts of the Middle East when the Gray Center was stood up. The Gray Center, named in honor of Lieutenant General Robert E. Gray, deceased, a Signal Corps legend, was the first facility in its time to manage all of our services networks. The facility consolidated tactical theater and strategic communications functions to support U.S. European Command, U.S. Africa Command, and U.S. Army Europe. And so for 6 decades, there has been a Signal Command in Germany. The 5th Signal Command has served in this role since 1974, with distinction in a broad range of peacetime stability and contingency operations. The soldiers, civilians, and family members who embody the spirit of our Army, the Signal Regiment, and the 5th Signal Command Dragon Warriors have done well and been faithful to our nation. It is with great pride that I am able to be a part of this special event, and as we close another chapter on our Signal Corps' history. But I do have to apologize because I've been talking about the Signal Corps for a few minutes, but I've never really described what a signal soldier does. So our work can best be described as an anecdote. So during a recent family day at my organization, I grabbed a couple of my flags and I pointed to a hilltop, and I imagined that I was signaling to that unit on a hilltop. And then I went up to the family of one of our participants at the family day, and I asked the little girl that was a part of the family, I said, "Now, do you understand what we do? Do you understand from that demonstration what we do?" And she said, "Absolutely, I know what you do, sir. I know what you do. You're a cheerleader." So in this case, I am the 5th Signal Command's biggest cheerleader. And the 5th Signal Command Dragon Warriors may be gone, but their impact on signal operations in Western Europe and the Army will live on forever. Auf Wiedersehen, Dragon Warriors, Army Strong, Voice of the Army, thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, the former commander of the 5th Signal Command, Colonel Rob Parker.
Morning, ladies and gentlemen. Command teams, guidon bearers, you're doing great. Hang in there. Why don't you bend your knees for just a minute there? Relax. We're almost there. We'll get through this. Lieutenant General Hodges, General Baker, General Retired Sutton, other general officers, dignitaries, representatives from the local community, friends and family of the 5th Signal Command. Thank each of you so much for being here today for part of this most momentous occasion. It's an honor to stand in front of you today as the last Dragon Warrior. I'm extremely thankful to Lieutenant General Hodges, Lieutenant General Retired Farrell, Major General Baker for the opportunity they've given me to serve as the commander of the 5th Signal Command. I remain immensely humbled for the privilege to serve in the lineage and shadows of great signal officers like General Avai, newly promoted Lieutenant General Crawford, our Army CIO G6, and 2 other general officers have graciously joined us here today, General Retired Sutton and Major General Kilgo. Your presence here and unique history with this command makes this significant day that much more special. Thank you for being here. General Baker, thank you for the continued mentorship, insights, and recommendations. Importantly, thank you for making it a point to routinely travel here to the theater to gain a firsthand appreciation for our local challenges while working tirelessly back at NETCOM to find ways to get us all the support and assistance we need in support of 2 geographic combatant commands and 2 Army service component commands. General Pugh, thank you also for your assistance and mentoring. I look forward to working closer with you over the next year as we build out our persistent mission partner environment to forge greater interoperability with our allies and partners across Europe. I admit I thought I had prepared for this fairly well this morning. I knew I'd probably be a little bit nervous as usual. Sometimes my speaking is like that. So what I failed to anticipate was this the beautiful young lady sitting on the front row that keeps catching my eye this morning. And so this is probably as good a time as any to pause and tell my wife, Pam, thank you for everything over the years. Your support, I simply could not do without, and it's been great. It's been everything we need at the right time, in the right place, and the right quantity. You've picked me up when I'm down, you've pushed me forward when I needed the shove, and you've helped just to really support me by supporting our family and our community. Brandon and Ashley, I'm extremely proud of both of y'all, the children and young adults that you're both growing into. Thank you for everything that you do. I know, like many other Army families, the personal sacrifices that you make on behalf of myself, our Army, and our nation are not something that you stepped up and signed up for, but you do nonetheless, and you do it very well. So thank you all very much. Clearly, God has blessed me with a wonderful family, much more so than I deserve. And I'm very thankful for their support and love. I'm also thankful for a lot of the support we had in putting this ceremony today together. The band, the color guard, the chaplain, the staff that's behind the scenes that worked tirelessly throughout the weeks to bring this together. I appreciate that. I also appreciate my front office staff, like many who work tirelessly to keep the command going, both in the forefront and behind the scenes. Renee Baldwin, Carrie Waterman, Sergeant Walker, Sergeant Salgado, and also Christine for all the work she's given us to help work with our partners here in the community. Thank you very much. You may have noticed that my battle buddy's not here today. I regret that I'm unable to share this moment with Command Sergeant Major Frank Gutierrez. Frank was the consummate professional senior NCO who cared equally for soldiers and our civilian workforce here in the command, all the while providing stern counsel, sage advice that a commander needs. Fortunately, the Army saw the same thing in him that I did, and he's now serving honorably in a 2-star nominative position back in the States. I remain thankful for the great personal support received over the past year from so many of my 06 peers and friends, including Andy McClellan, Devin Blake, John Baker, Todd Fish, Matt Holt, Chris Eubank, Tim Norton, Paul Zepernick, Suzanne Self, Tom Cunningham, Ben Jones, and so many other great officers. I apologize if I missed anybody in that list. But there's none that I'm more thankful for than my great personal friend, Jeff Worthington, my confidant, my sounding board, and an exceptional leader in his own right as the commander of the 2nd Signal Brigade. Jeff, thanks for always having my back. I'm always proud to serve with you at multiple points over our career. I remain immensely proud of the command teams represented here today by both our U.S. service members and our German leadership within our organization. They do a phenomenal job, but more importantly, I'm proud of the outstanding soldiers, Department Army civilians, and our local national employees that they represent. A combined team of professionals emboldened by a passion for excellence and mission accomplishment. They do their utmost day in and day out to rebuild the aging communications infrastructure of the current European theater, build out the new and emerging Atlantic Resolve area of operations, and provide the networks and communications critical to enabling mission command across both the European and African continents. They do all this while transforming the 2nd Signal Brigade into a new theater signal brigade construct, an Army first, and simultaneously standing up the NetCom TAC. I know that Colonel Brian Casing, Ms. Michelle Curtis are the right leaders at the right time to build this new organization, and that it's certain to make a positive difference here in Europe. In June of this year, we began the first in a series of formal events to inactivate the United States Army's 5th Signal Command, a command whose history you've heard this morning is deeply interwoven with that of the city of Worms and the other parts of Germany. Over the years, the partnerships between the United States military and the communities in which we live and operate have often grown into friendships and ultimately into inseparable bonds of mutual commitment, respect, and support. For U.S. Army Signal Forces in Europe, the bond of friendship has never been stronger than it has been with the city of Worms. The heartfelt influence on our command was so significant that, as you heard this morning, in 1995, it was found appropriate to adopt the city's infamous dragon as our own symbol of special and enduring friendship. In fact, the first official color patch was proudly presented by the previous commander, General Sutton, to Lord Mayor Fisher. Since that day, we've proudly worn it on our uniforms, displayed it on our buildings, in our hallways, and printed it on unit memorabilia, prominently displayed on the left shoulder of our uniforms and leaders, and is predicated by General Sutton in 1995. It is recognized around the globe by military forces as immediate recognition of some of the finest communicators and signalers within our United States Army. We're fortunate to have General Retired Sutton with us here today, and recently had the pleasure of also meeting with Lord Mayor Retired Fisher during this ceremony in Worms. Please join me in a warm round of applause to recognize General Sutton for his lasting leadership impressions on the 5th Signal Command and his significant career contributions to our Signal Regiment. Thank you, sir. Following the formal ceremony at Worms, which was done in the small courthouse there, our small group that went down there traveled to the old 5th Signal Command barracks to unveil a commendatory plaque, an enduring memory of what once was. Removing the dragon crest from our own 5th Sig Command headquarters right here and returning it to its place of origin seemed to be a very appropriate and symbolic act. It's my sincere hope that those who view the gated entryway in the future will be reminded of the great friendship and partnership between the United States Army's 5th Signal Command, the Bundeswehr, and the city of Worms. It remains clear today that no nation can confront today's geopolitical challenges alone, and that special place in Worms serves as a great historical example of the importance of meaningful national and personal relationships and alliances, which must be continually nurtured and will carry us all well into the future. Today, we've officially inactivated the 5th Signal Command by casing its colors. And with that final act, regrettably, we bring this chapter of a magnificent book to a close. But as with any really good book, the next chapter awaits, and perhaps even others are yet unwritten for the legacy of the United States Army Signal Regiment in Europe. For 75 years, the United States Army has been a steadfast partner in building peace and stability across Europe, a commitment demonstrated through our persistent presence on the ground, much of which has only been possible due to the generosity and direct support extended by Germany, a great host country and strong ally. While our signal forces will continue to reorganize and restructure to meet future missions, just as our U.S. Army has done for over 242 years, we will remain in Germany and throughout Europe in a wider variety of locations, continually providing outstanding military communications support. I'm confident we'll remain an essential element to enabling a strong Europe while standing shoulder to shoulder with allies and partners. And like the infamous legend of Siegfried and the dragon in Worms, I'm equally confident the legend of the Fifth Signal Command will endure for years to come. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your patience with me today. More importantly, thank you for taking time to recognize the historic contributions of current and former members of the command. Dragon Warriors, Dragon Standards, Strong Europe. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the playing of the Signal Corps March, Army Song, and the retiring of the colors. Please render the appropriate honors as the national colors are retired. The words for each song are in your program. Ladies and gentlemen, Colonel Parker and his wife Pam would like to invite you to join them for a reception in the foyer of the main entrance. This concludes today's ceremony.